So you didn't stash away $1 million for retirement. Well, guess what? Neither did most people, and you're not doomed.
But you do need a plan that includes fewer delusions and possibly fewer $5 lattes.
Well, this is Jim, and he's the kind of man who could retire on a fishing boat, live off of grilled seafood, and call it a damn good life.
And that's Tab. She's got a spreadsheet for every scenario and a mild allergy to winging it.
Yeah, I don't like it.
And together, we're Unretired AF.
Welcome to today's episode where we're going to be talking about retiring without $500,000 in the bank. And you're not alone, and you're certainly not screwed. So first thing, let's talk about the reality of it is. Most folks don't have $500,000 saved. Statistics show that 40 to 50% of Americans 55 and over do not have even $100,000 saved for retirement.
Yeah, shame keeps people stuck.
It does.
Reality sets them free.
Yep. And you're not behind, but you are in strategy mode. You're going to have to start. If you're like 40 to 50% of Americans is a lot of us.
Right.
A lot of us are going to have to get creative. And rather than hiding it, your head in the sand or feeling ashamed or whatever, we just all got to get together and figure out we're smart. We're a smart generation, right?
And it's not too late.
No.
But now is the time to get real about it.
That's right. Well, and let's start the reality check with, something that could work. Moving could be a smart move. I mean, if you're living in a high cost state, in a mortgaged home, the key for you could be selling that mortgaged home high, buy a house outright in a lower cost state.
If you have equity. It takes equity.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have that. A lot of people have. I mean, otherwise, that's not a good move.
Right.
And so then, what that means is that you don't have any mortgage anymore, so you can figure in lower expenses. Plus, the money you're used to spending on that, you can save it. Yeah, that's one of the ways you can start socking it away.
Absolutely. And for instance, if you live in a metropolitan area in a city, your property taxes are going to be a lot higher than if you're in the country.
Even small towns can have high property tax.
Absolutely. Especially if they've sold bonds for water projects or high school taxes and all that.
And small towns can be worse than cities.
They can be.
Because there's a lot less people to fund schools.
So do some research.
Yeah.
And see if that'll help you obtain your long-term happiness.
That's right. And another thing you can do, if you move, look for homes that have a casita, a back house, a studio, or apartment over the garage, or even just rentable rooms, something that you could generate revenue from in your retired years, because even though we're unretired, there will be the retired years.
And we have a friend of ours that just bought a place and has property on it, and he is renting out an acre to people that have RVs and boats.
Right.
And
for storage or to stay there?
Storage.
Oh, okay.
And he's getting $100 a month for each one.
Wow.
And it's with no infrastructure.
And that's really good, because if you go to those storage places, they're a lot more than that.
Yeah.
So that's a really good idea.
The one thing that you have to do, though, you've got to choose a good location.
Yeah.
The older we get, I mean, for us, and I'm only speaking of us, but I don't want to be more than a half hour from a hospital.
Right.
I really don't want to be that much further from any kind of shopping.
Right.
For me, since I'm going to commute back and forth, I want an airport, a major airport within an hour.
Right.
And, I guess the downsizing has... If you downsize, you'll have lower utility costs. And
some states have significantly lower utility costs. They can look at that when they move too.
Absolutely. So for instance, if someone was looking to move from California to Arkansas,
Wow.
you could go from eating ramen noodles in California to ribeyes in Arkansas.
Right.
So there are. I mean, don't get me wrong. California is probably one of the most beautiful states there are, but there's a lot of other nice places.
Well, there's a reason they call it the Golden State.
Right.
It takes a lot of gold to live there.
It takes a lot of gold to live there.
Well, and this is the thing. I mean, just so you understand, Jim and my our perspective, we want ways that we can maintain our independence.
Yeah.
So we happen to live right now in a high cost state. Didn't used to be, but it is now. And we're looking to move to a lower cost state because we want to maintain our freedom.
Yep.
We want to maintain our independence as long as we can. And so, the lower our cost of living is, the more we can save. That is going to attribute to us being able to be independent as long as possible. So that's our goal.
That's the goal.
That's our goal for you too, is to is to figure out a way to stay. And I know we're very cheeky and about things all the time and joking, but it's a serious matter. I mean, we want to stay independent as long as we can. We know that all you rebels share that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, now we're going to talk about how to maximize your unretired years. So we're unretired AF. So we are. What that means is we're still earning. We're still working. Maybe not at the same pace we were when we were younger, but we're still earning. So we should be banking money like a squirrel in October.
Right.
Right.
So the one way we've done it is, and we've talked about it in previous episodes, we're really trying to slash our expenses.
Right.
I think, we mentioned about cutting the cable and doing all that stuff.
Right.
If you can,
it all helps.
Yeah. If you can do that, even for a couple, 1 to 2 years, could be tens of thousands of dollars saved.
Right.
And, don't think that the little expenses, the 50s, the 100s, the 200s a month don't add up.
Well, if we look at how much we would go out to eat when we used to go out to eat all the time, and I started canning.
Yeah.
And started buying meat on sale, and because we ran out of freezer space.
Right.
And that was another way I could make it shelf stable, was canning it. And so we can have a meal in a jar for under $5.
Good.
And it's good.
And it's good.
And we
know what's in all of it.
Well, and we all know that since the pandemic happened, that where you used to be able to go out for $20, we go out to, I don't mind naming the names. We go to Raising Cane's, and we could both go for $17.
Yeah.
And the same with Freddy's. We could go there for under $20. Now both of those places are almost $40 for us to go to for dinner. Not that we're eating that many.
You guys it's the same way in your neighborhood. It's no different.
So that's one way to save.
Yeah.
That's definitely a way to save. Well, and another way to do it is you can start doing gig work. You can work part-time doing something that you enjoy. You can do some consulting if you have a specialized skill. Or you can monetize any hobbies that you have that you like. I'm considering maybe once we get moved, selling at a farmer's market at where we moved, so I can meet people and also make a few bucks on some of my canned stuff because I enjoy canning.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Sure. You just want to try to fill the gap in your life. Yeah. You're getting older, but you're not dead.
Right.
And don't let anybody tell you that you're too old to do anything.
Right.
Do it. Try it. If you can't, then don't.
And don't do nothing.
Right.
Don't
talk about getting old quick.
Don't get paralyzed. Well, no. I say about the situation. If you don't have savings and your expenses are really high, you've got a high mortgage, but you've got some equity in your house. There's things you can do.
Sure.
You have to make some sacrifices, but don't become paralyzed by it. Don't be ashamed of it.
Right.
Don't panic. Just figure it out. We're smart people.
Right. Don't assume that you'll want to or even able to work into your 80s.
Right. Right.
You need to plan your retirement
Like it's happening now.
like it's happening now.
Even if
Yeah.
you're, because you never know when you would have to stop working.
No, and if you're already into your retirement, that's great, but try to supplement it.
Right. Right.
Try to supplement it.
Right. Well, and you can also try to build income while you're sleeping. I mean, there's a lot of ways, and Jim mentioned one. I mean, look at Airbnb. If even if you're not going to move, but you've got an extra room, or you've got in some way that you could rent it out, do it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can rent out your garage for storage,
Right. Right.
storage areas.
People do that.
Yeah,
And what would they put in there? Would they just put like same
whatever
things
you let them.
same things you put in a storage unit?
Right, whatever you'd allow them to put in there.
I gotcha. Okay. All right. And I mean, you could get creative and you could get a roommate, or you could rent out a room to a traveling nurse who's there occasionally, or maybe there's a businessman who travels to your town and is looking for a room. So at least you would get to know him. It's not a stranger
Sure.
every time. That's an idea too.
Sure, you can sell or lease land that you own. You can also do some research in wherever you're living and see what space is going for.
Right.
You may decide that, hey, if I fence off an acre or a quarter of an acre what I have and build a $20,000, and I'm just pulling a number out, build a $20,000 metal building, and you're able to sell it for or you're able to rent it for $3 or $4 grand a month. Look at that stuff.
Yeah.
That's a quick payout.
Yeah, it just depends on what they're doing in there. Make sure you check with your insurance agent that they're
Right.
not doing anything that's going to exclude
Right.
your
Right.
insurance coverage, because
Yes.
that's important.
Good point.
I mean,
Good point.
but we've also heard of, and I heard of somebody, I knew somebody that didn't have anywhere to put their boat, and they put their boat, and someone had an RV gate on the side
Yeah.
of their house on a side yard in town. It wasn't even in the country
Right.
or anything. It was in the city. And they got, I don't know, probably $100 a month just to rent out their side yard, which they weren't even using anyway.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, you just got to work smart with what you've got going on, what you already have. What you already
Exactly.
have. Well, lowering your expectations about your retirement doesn't necessarily mean that you have lower dignity.
No.
It just means that you reframe the dream. Maybe you have a smaller house
Right.
than what you were thinking of. Maybe you have a simpler life, but that also brings peace of mind because, it's easier to manage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We know that there is a lot of joy in low overheads.
Yes.
We had an office, we had office
Staff.
building, the whole thing, and you look at it when every month you're spending $10,000 to $12,000 on that stuff, and
Right.
you're acting more as a PR person than
Right.
you are as a boss.
Right.
Sometimes it's just not worth it.
Right.
We did that and we got rid of all that, and man, talk about a much simpler life.
Yeah.
A lot fewer stressors.
Yeah.
You also need to know what you can afford in the long term.
Well, and if you do all these things, and let's say you eliminate your mortgage, but I mean, for Jim and I, we can upsize for less money
Yeah,
because of moving to a lower cost state than
Absolutely.
when we're in a higher cost state. So we're actually upsizing because we already downsized and don't like it.
right.
So we're going to upsize, and it doesn't mean that you're going to be having a lower quality of life necessarily, but you have to know, like Jim said, that you can afford it in the long term. So,
Sure.
looking at not having a mortgage, having reduced property taxes. I mean, I looked at I follow a lot of other YouTubers who are retirements, where they have retirement as their specialty. And one guy was talking about his property taxes are like $9,000 a year. So if you can eliminate that some of the properties that Jim and I are looking at rurally, like he said, that aren't in towns or cities, that are $500 a year property tax,
Yeah.
that's a huge savings when nothing really significantly has to change other than,
Right.
obviously you're moving.
Right.
And that can affect your family situation, whatever. So, but anyway, the takeaway from today's episode is basically, sort it out. But
Yeah.
and so you don't have to experience shame, panic, and you certainly don't need $1 million to do it.
No, and we encourage you to get some courage to do it. Be flexible, and you may be wanting to live in a different zip code if it gives you what you want.
Yeah.
Just look at it. We're
Yeah.
not telling anybody what to do, but
Look at
just
your
look
option.
at it.
Look at your
look at
options.
what your options are.
Look at your options. Yeah, exactly.
The internet's a wonderful thing to be able to look and research that.
Yeah.
And you can do it in the privacy of your own home, and nobody needs to know.
Yeah.
But just know what you're looking for. That's all.
Yeah.
So if you have any comments on this, if you know a way that you can substantially cut your costs, or if you've got any ideas, drop it in our comments. We'd love to hear your ideas. You've been listening to ours. Let us know if you agree or disagree, please, by a note in our comments. Thank you.
Yes, and if you are enjoying our channel and you haven't yet done it, please hit that subscribe button so that we will show up in your feed every day, Monday through Friday, with new exciting topics that we try to find something exciting. And if you have an idea, like Jim said, for a topic that you want us to cover, drop it in the comments. Let us know. We'd be happy to do it.
Absolutely.
Well, we're not slowing down.
And neither should you.
And together, we're Unretired AF.